Hello.
Hey Mary, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
Good.
Not as good as you doing though. I mean, I am impressed. The last time we spoke, you were running for city council and now you're a
Yes.
councilwoman.
Yes.
A very young councilwoman at that.
Yes.
But before we talk about all of that, and all of that's important, don't get me wrong. When we were little kids, we all have this dream of what we're going to do and what we're going to be like as we grow up. And those things change as we get older. How has yours changed?
I've had dreams of a little bit of everything, honestly. I wanted to be a singer, an actress, a nurse, and so I think it's changed over the years. The older I got, though, I knew that I wanted to be in public service, and I did dream of just serving the public. I wasn't sure in which way I wanted to do it. So from a little girl, it has drastically changed now, but I will say that I am in alignment with what I overall wanted to do, and that was serving the public.
Serving the public can be so thankless. People love you until you get in office, and then they pretty much hate you. Have you found that to be your experience right now?
Yes, actually I have. That's something that I was not expecting. You know, you put yourself out for people to judge you, for people to comment on certain things. And so that's something that I had to deal with my first term so far, is really understanding that no matter how hard you work, no matter how good you do, people are still going to not like you or think that you have not done enough. And so that's one thing I've tried to work on over the last year or so, is really not focusing on trying to please everybody, because you never will. Just work as hard as you can, and whoever likes you does, and just do the best that you can. That's all really you can do.
Mary, what do you do for fun?
I love to travel.
Don't tell me you read the Bible. That's
No,
a given. What do you do for fun?
That's still a challenge sometimes, to be honest, read the Bible. But I love to be around family. I love to read. I love inspirational books.
Movies?
I'm not a movie person at all. My grandmother would tell you, when I was little, we used to go all the time. She used to take me to 2 movies in one day.
Oh.
So I'm like done with
Movied
movies.
out.
Yeah, movied out. But I will fall asleep in a movie in a minute. So I'm not a movie person. I love comedy.
Okay.
I love comedy shows, and so I just like to have fun and laugh. I also love to travel. I just came back from a trip to St. Lucia. I was gone for a week, and I think I'm probably the only person I know that travels by myself. Quite often, yes. I've been to Nassau, to Germany, but I travel all by myself, and I found a lot of peace and serenity with that. Oh my gosh, I made it to the top of the Piton, right?
Yes.
Of the Piton. Look at this. Look how beautiful this is.
Okay.
Look at that. How can you not believe in a God? God is so amazing. You know, I'm blessed that I don't have children and I don't have a husband. And I'm 28
it's all
years
yours.
old. So I'm very good with managing my money. And so I can treat myself, right, every now and then to things of that
Absolutely.
sort. I don't go out a lot at all in the city, and so once a year or twice a year I like to travel and treat myself. But I hate movies.
But you usually do this by yourself? Come
What,
on.
comedy shows?
Yeah, your time off. What do you do?
Oh, that's what. Again, I just finished my master's, so a lot of my time off before I was finishing up school. That's number one.
Okay.
And so when I wasn't at County Building, if I wasn't doing things around work, I was finishing off school. But now with the free time, again, I think for me it's going to be about just continuing to develop myself and be the best Mary that I can be. So again, if it's not family, if it's not traveling, I'm probably working on myself somehow.
Some people are under the impression that you're part of the elite, that you've never had any problems, that you've never experienced any difficulties. You're that royalty that just, oh yes, everything's just perfect in my life and I can just go on and do what I want. I don't believe that's true for a second. Have you experienced those difficult moments in your life?
Most definitely. I mean, I'm human. I've had several challenges in my life. I continue to. I have, things about me that I want to change, that I want to improve. There's times where I felt like giving up, that I feel like throwing in the towel, and I constantly go through battles and challenges. And I try not to focus on the downs. It's what I've learned, the growth that I've learned from those failures or those challenges that have made me the person that I am today.
I'm sure we've all heard the adage, it's not how many times you fall down, but how many times you get up.
Yes.
How many times have you fallen?
I can't even count. I can't even count. Again, it's the growth. You know, when you look back at those times that you fail, you begin to think, wow, I needed that fall. You know, I needed that for a reason. It taught me something. And every single bruise, every single scar, everything that I've been through, I just thank God for it now, because I know it has put me in a position where I am now. It has taught me things that I needed to know to be where I am now.
So much for that elite life. She had to work.
Yes, I worked at I worked at Boston Market.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
You worked at Boston Market.
Worked at Boston Market.
So not everything was just handed to
Oh
you in
no,
life.
I don't understand why people would think that.
Well, you're royalty. They don't work. Didn't you know that?
Please, my mother and my father both instilled in me that in order to eat, you have to work. And I had allowance growing up. I mean, I had jobs. I mean, I worked there. I remember I worked at a mall a few times. And coming out of college, I worked at Wayne County Community College District, where I helped with young people with financial aid. And then from there, I worked in the Wayne County Jail for 2 years. So, I mean, my whole life has been work. I don't even remember a time where I really wasn't working.
Working at something.
Yeah.
Our magazine has tapped you as being one of 3 Detroiters to watch, that you are that good and that important to the city.
I didn't know that.
Well, see, I told you something new. But how do you feel about that? Is that something that will add pressure onto what you want to do, or does it just fall along with what you expected?
I think it falls along. I think I do have pressure, me being the youngest, and people are looking to what's next for me, what am I going to bring next. But for me, it just adds along to the job. I have a lot of pressure on myself. I challenge myself a lot, and I expect a lot from myself. And so it doesn't add any extra pressure to the pressure that I already put on myself. But I think I am someone to watch. I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish. I've done some, but a lot of things that I'm still looking forward to accomplishing as I move forward in my term.
You've just been elected. Do you see this as a stepping stone, or just something, I'm going to deal with what's going on now and build upon that maybe? How exactly are you looking at city council?
You know what? People ask me this all the time, and people talk about my future aspirations more than I do. I mean, people come to me and they say, I heard you were running for this and I heard you were running for that. But I honestly, I'm just enjoying being on council and trying to really be the best council person that I can be. I am not at that point yet, honestly. I think that I've grown a lot, but I have not reached where I think I need to be at. So right now it's just about being the best person I can be. I want to be effective. I want to be able to impact other people. And so if that takes me to another position, I'll do it. But I think right now I'm just focused on being the best councilwoman that I can be for the residents in Detroit.
As I told you, I took the time to speak to some Detroiters. I wanted to find out what they thought about you as an individual, as a council person, as a pastor. What do they exactly think about you? And I got the most frequent remark was, that's Detroit royalty. You can't say anything bad about her. On occasion I got, oh, that's Detroit royalty. We don't care. Your family has a name. You're making a name for yourself. How do you regard yourself? Are you royalty, or?
I mean, I don't think of myself as royalty. I surely do appreciate and admire the history of my family in this city, and I never run from that. In fact, I embrace it. And, you know, I think that that did open a lot of doors for me. I think that it has definitely taught me a lot and exposed me to things that, you know, normal young women probably would not have been exposed to. But I am Mary Sheffield. I'm separate from my father. I'm not my grandfather. In fact, I think I've proven that since I've taken office, that I'm my own person. While I appreciate the legacy and I appreciate the name, I've worked extremely hard, and I worked hard when I was running for office to get to where I am. And I don't think that it was just because of my last name that I'm here today as a council member. I think it has helped, but I think it was also with the hard work of myself that placed me where I am.
I'd have to agree. People do know your family. They understand who the Sheffields are. And whereas that will give you a leg up, it's not going to really get you in the door.
Right.
You have to do all the work on your own. Detroit has had a bad reputation. I know when I lived in California, I said, I'm from Detroit. And they, oh my God, you're from the worst place in the world. I'm saying, what are you talking about?
Right,
Detroit
right.
is great.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand that until they met more people from Detroit. What would you say to people who've moved away from the city to encourage them and let them know that the city isn't what they used to think it was? And neither is the council, those old stubborn people who just won't change.
Yeah. You know, we have a fresh, brand new council. You know, we have new elected leadership on council. And so things have changed. I mean, if you come to the city, I think you'll begin to see the revitalization that's happening, the homes that are being torn down, the investment that is being put in the city. We have better police enforcement within the city of Detroit. We have to be innovative in our thinking in regards to events that young people want to come to. I think that we have the Red Wings Arena that's getting ready to be built, the entertainment district, which is going to attract tons of millennials from all over to come out and party and have a good time. And so we have the beautiful Riverwalk. They're always having events there. And I just think we have to be creative and innovative and create events that would attract people from all over. And I think we do a good job of that. It's just making sure that we retain those people. They just don't come, shop, hang out, and party, but that we keep them. We want them to live here, have a family here. Right? So I think things are happening for the better within Detroit. And I would tell them to come drive through the city and see that there has been several improvements, and not with just the city of Detroit, but with the leadership as well, too.
Actually, I took around drive through the city recently, and we all know about the downtown development, and yeah, it's kind of confusing to us old school people. We're trying to still get our bearings there, but I also took time to drive through the neighborhoods, especially your district. And I looked around there and I could see changes that are happening there. Old homes aren't being destroyed, but they're being revitalized. Is it hard to get people to see that as being progress?
You raised a great point. I mean, downtown and midtown, we're seeing a lot of investment, but we still have a lot of work to do with our neighborhoods. There's no question about it. I mean, there's tons of areas in my district that haven't been touched at all. And it's because of the federal funding that is not being funneled into these particular areas. In fact, you know, there's one home on a block and there's one street light, you know, and they're not receiving the city services that they should receive. And so as much progress as we have made in the city, we still have to keep our neighborhoods at the forefront. And that's something that I try to do every single day as we move forward in the city, is making sure that our neighborhoods have the attention that they deserve.
We certainly have to pay attention to the neighborhoods because the people make up the city.
Of course.
But by the same token, I'm of the mindset, and people don't necessarily agree with me, but I believe you do have to build that downtown because you do need that tax base. You need something that's going to give you that influx of cash in order to work in your neighborhood, in order to improve your neighborhood and the services that are there. Do you agree with that? Or?
I agree with it. I think that the problem that long-term Detroiters have, though, is that I've been here. I've been here through the good and the bad. I've been here when, you know, the city was going through pretty much the worst that it can. And now you're focusing and putting all of this attention and programming and initiatives on attracting residents. But what about me? You know, I've been in my home for 30 years. My, you know, home is pretty much falling apart, and there's no assistance from the city to help me. And so there needs to be a balance. We need to attract residents. We need to make sure we're focusing on midtown and downtown in our neighborhoods, but we also need to making sure that we are looking out for residents that have been in the city through the good and the bad, and offering incentives and programs to help them stay within the city of Detroit too, because that's where a lot of Detroiters are upset, to my opinion, when I'm here, residents, is that there's not enough attention on long-term Detroiters that have been here through the good and bad.
Okay, you're the youngest person ever on city council. Do you find that they kind of like, oh, give the baby a little bone and, you know, she'll leave us alone and we'll do what we want to do, but let's ignore her?
You know what? I don't know. Surprisingly not. And well, not that I know of, I should say. I don't know what they do behind closed doors. But no, I think that I have demanded respect, and I think that I have received it amongst my colleagues, amongst those who I work with down in the county building. And so not necessarily my age plays a role in anything. I think that I've stood up and I've been bold in what I believe in, and people respect me for that. And so I try to keep the age out of it. I really just try to focus on what can I accomplish while I'm here, what have I done, and make sure that is at the forefront, not my age.
You are a pastor.
A minister now.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that help or hurt you?
Helps.
Okay.
Helps tremendously. My religion and my relationship with God keeps me strong. It keeps me focused. It keeps me in alignment with why I'm here. You know, without that, I mean, I just probably will be a weak counsel person. I think it just makes me stand strong and bold and firm in what I believe in, and it helps guide me. Because without that, I will have probably many nights where I'll be confused and not know why I'm here, why I'm serving. Because sometimes you have those moments, you know, why am I here? What am I, you know, what is my purpose? And so that keeps me focused on what I'm supposed to be doing.
There are some. What would you say to a teenage black kid that's walking down the street and he's got on a hoodie? Doesn't look exactly trustworthy. Pants hung low. What do you say to the kid? Tell you the truth, I cross on the other side because I don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we judge our young men, and a lot of them are extremely intelligent. They have amazing stories. In fact, me being young, I've used my age to my advantage and make sure that I am interacting and engaging and motivating our young men and women on a constant basis. And so I spent a lot of time at Martin Luther King High School, and I dealt with our young men, and I would just tell them, you know, put your head up, speak up, you know, get in school, making sure that you stay in school, and making sure that they find what they love to do and following behind that passion. And so I'm always mentoring. I think mentoring is a big thing. We all have to be able to reach back and help those who will follow behind us and not judge them. And that's the problem. We have a lot of people that point our finger or their finger at young men and young women, but are not willing to help.
Absolutely.
And so I focus a lot of my time on helping our young men and women.
Do you find that our school systems or Detroit public school systems need drastic help? Or do you think that it's just a few areas that they need help in?
I think they need drastic help. What's going on with DPS right now should not be happening to our children. It really should not. Emergency management has failed our children. They are not receiving quality education. If you just go and walk through the classrooms in the schools, the deplorable conditions that they're in is unacceptable. And if you go to any other city in this state, you would not see the conditions of the schools that you see in Detroit. And so we have to continue to demand better. I did not go to DPS. However, I still represent kids and children and parents who have children in DPS, and I want better for DPS. I mean, we can't have a thriving city without a quality education school system within our city. And so this whole thing with the governor and trying to dismantle public education, to me, has really just been a failure for this city. And I just hope that we can get strong leadership that will continue to fight to strengthen our school system in Detroit.
You say that you visit King, that's in your district,
yes,
correct?
Yes, it is.
What can you offer them to encourage them to continue? Because a high school diploma doesn't really mean much in today's society. Are you doing anything, or can you do anything to help them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, whenever I'm there, we're always offering assistance with financial aid. We have job fairs. We are connecting them to the skilled trades. I mean, because some people, college is not for them. I mean, let's just be honest. And so, you know, we have to figure out what it is that, again, they want to do, they love to do, and then what career path or what educational path will get them there. And so whatever it is that I can do, I'm always making myself in my office available to assist our young men and women as they move forward.
You don't spend a lot of time in your office, and you're not one of those what we call an armchair sociologist. You're not an armchair councilwoman. You get out and you actually work in the field. You're actually out there talking. Why? I mean, you're elected. Why would you do that?
Yeah, that's who I am. I've always been grassroots. I've always been, you know, pound the pavement type of person and want to be in the face of those who I represent. That was at the forefront of every conversation when I ran for office, is we want someone that's accessible, that we can touch, that we can see. And so there's only so much that you can do in the county building. I mean, we have our legislative role where we, you know, do policy and things of that sort. But at the same time, it's important to make sure that you're reaching people where they are and that they're getting the information. And so, you know, I go door to door in the summer, and I'll knock doors and bring information and resources to the front door. So there's no way that you can say that you don't have information that you need. And so that's just important to me. That's who I am. People, for some reason, have lost hope within our local government. And they need to see us. They need to see us right there where they are. And sometimes that takes coming out behind a desk and stepping into the neighborhoods and doing that.
Quite a few of your constituents are senior citizens. What is their biggest problem?
You know what? It's funny you ask, because I have the highest amount of senior citizen buildings in the entire city. And then within that, I also have the highest amount of low-income Section 8 buildings within the city. And so the concern has been, are they going to kick me out? Is my affordability on the building expiring soon? And then they come in and make this a market rate apartment building, which we are seeing happen
Yes,
everywhere in the city
absolutely.
of Detroit. So with that, and then also security and bed bugs and the cleanliness of these buildings has been a number one issue for me. In fact, I'm getting ready to hold a town hall on that issue coming up. But seniors really just want something to do. They want to make sure that they have not been forgotten, and they want to make sure they're living in environments that are safe, affordable, and clean.
We all have those points in our lives where we're vulnerable. We try to keep them close to our vest. You're a public figure. You have to share. What are some of yours?
Well, again, just like everyone, I have challenges and struggles and things that I want to be better at. I could say I still have tingles and butterflies in my stomach when I'm speaking in public or if I'm going to events. Even at the table sometimes I, still get nervous. So I think that is something that I would consider a vulnerability. Also, I tend to care too much what people think, which I think I've gotten a lot better at over the last year, is not caring what people think or how people view me, just being who I am and moving forward with it. And so, yes.
That's really interesting because you are in the unique position of being a role model to so many young girls growing up in the city of Detroit. And a lot of them have issues with their appearance. They're not sure that they're attractive, or they weigh too much, or they're too skinny, or they're not smart enough. What do you say to these young girls?
That's so true. And I mentor young women all the time. And I mean, low self-esteem is real. Lack of confidence is real. And I always tell them, and one thing that has helped me is understanding that I was uniquely designed to be who I am and to do a purpose that no one else in this world can do. And I can be who I am. I can sound the way I sound, talk the way I talk, lead the way I lead. I don't need to be like anyone else but Mary Sheffield, because God has placed me here to just be that, me. And so I try to get that message to our young people. Just be who you are, understanding that you are one person, but you still are one person, and you have an assignment to do, and only you can fulfill that assignment.
Do you find that people on the city council come to you looking for advice spiritually? Or do they admire your spiritual stance? Or do they wish that you would stop talking about it?
That's a good one. No, I really don't get people that come to me for spiritual advice. I do get requests to speak at churches all the time. In fact, I have been blessed to almost every month I'm speaking at a different church within my district. So I get a lot of requests to come speak. And people know I'm a woman of God. And so they see me, they know I'm going to pray over the meeting and we're going to just have a good time. But no spiritual guidance or anything, but more so wanting to hear me preach and wanting to see more of my ministry.
Would you like them to?
Like them to?
The city council, would you like to be a counselor for some of them? I'm not saying who. I'm just saying.
Well, I think that does come naturally. I mean, for example, I started a homelessness task force, and so I deal with the homeless on a regular basis. And of course, you have to be spiritual in some sense to handle that type of environment. And so, of course, I'm counseling to them. I'm, walking them through, talking them through situations, praying for them. And so that does happen naturally. And whenever I'm called to do it or I'm in an environment, I never withhold from doing it. You just make sure it happens.
So is your ministry more effective or less effective because of your position on council?
I think more. I'm not sure how it would have been without it, but I definitely can say that it has allowed me to begin to speak to more people. Again, the opportunity to speak at churches almost every month now, and people are beginning to hear my ministry and my message and wanting me to spread that to other people. So I think it has helped. And maybe that's why God placed me here.
You never know. You never know. We know a lot about your father, your grandfather. We don't really know much about your mom. Tell us something about her.
Well, my mother was, honestly, she was an angel. She was someone who was so comfortable in her own skin. She didn't let the world define who she was. And I used to call her a square, But I look back at her now because she was just her. She was an educator. She was a nurse. She taught nursing. She had her PhD right before she passed. But she was so humble. My mother was a humble person, and no one could ever say anything bad about my mom. She's just a kind, sweet-spirited person. In fact, she got me into, loving and giving back to the homeless, because when I was a young girl, that's what she used to always take us to do. But just an amazing woman, strong woman. She made so many sacrifices for me to have the best life that I can have. And I miss her a lot.
It seems as if you've always been in public service then. I mean, even working at Boston Market. And I admire people who can work with the public, because the public's very fickle. Mm-hmm. So if you can stand up to someone, no, I didn't order that, I don't want that, then that's a good upbringing for someone saying, no, I don't want to do that in council. So, not that I'm comparing council to a fast food place, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Your ministry has impacted what you do every day of your life. Mm-hmm. How does your life impact your ministry?
Just things that I've been through have forced me literally to my knees to pray and seek God in ways that I probably would have never done before. So I think, if anything, my life and what I'm going through now has strengthened my relationship, because now I know where to find peace and guidance, and you can't get it from this world, believe me.
No.
It's only one person you can get it from.
Absolutely. You're seen as being a strong black woman by many who are outside of you, outside of your family, outside of your district. You're seen as being a strong black woman. How do you see yourself?
I see myself as that, as a strong black woman, as a woman who, again, is just being led by God, trying to fulfill the purpose that has been placed over my life, and someone who's a work in progress, who has a lot of things that I want to improve on, but am looking forward to the challenges that will bring that change within myself.
You're a city councilwoman now. You've been that for how many years?
I won in 2013, took office in 2014.
All right. What has changed in your life?
I am a lot more disciplined, and you have to be disciplined. I think that the pressure that I have from the people to do a good job, and the pressure that I have internally to making sure that I'm representing them in the right way, has made me be a lot more disciplined. There's a lot reading. There's a lot of long hours, meetings, community meetings and sessions, and so I'm a busy person, and I think that has changed drastically from before I took office. Not a lot of time for hanging out, not a lot of time, even sometimes to be with family, unfortunately, because it's constant 24/7. Either you're at the table, you're at meetings, or you're in the public trying to make sure that you are visible. And so just staying constantly busy and active.
We have to move right down to that personal level now. What's changed in your personal life?
I would say, I guess they kind of go hand in hand. My personal life is pretty much just me being more obedient, me being more focused on work in a way that I've never done before, because this is my passion. I mean, it's almost as if I've walked into my passion now, and I just want to focus. I'm laser focused on that. And so, again, I don't have as much time for anything else but work and ministry. And so that's really where I am.
I have to go a little deeper because someone asked me to ask you, are you dating someone? I'm sorry, I don't want to know.
But I understand.
But they want to know, are you seeing someone?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Next question is obvious. Are you looking to see someone?
No, I'm not looking. I, of course, I'm a family person. I am very family oriented. My mother was the same way, and so my father, I grew up, looking at them, and of course, I definitely want a family and I want children and all of that, but I am waiting for God to lead me in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Got to change your focus, right? You can't focus on that. You focus on work and how can you make yourself a better woman. And then I think all of that comes into play.
If you were to meet that individual that God had set aside for you and you married that individual, would you give up your political career?
No, not at all. And I think he would have to understand that, right, too?
Well, if God sent him to you, he would know that in advance. So no problem on that score. But
not at all.
People do want to know, because you are a young woman, whether you would just leave them hanging in the lurch.
Never. Nope. I would continue the term and what I had been called to do, but no, I would never leave for a marriage or anything.
Okay, you'll finish the term. What if they what if they want more terms from you?
Oh, if they want, I'm here. I'm here to stay. Okay. Detroit is a part of me that is going to always be with me. I mean, I've traveled. I've spent time in D.C. and New York. I have friends really all over L.A., but I can only stay in those places for so long. 5 days, 2 weeks max, I'm ready to come back to Detroit. There's no place like the city. And even if I do move and have maybe a home somewhere else, I can go vacation, I will always be in Detroit. This
Why?
Is where my passion is.
Why?
It's something about the city. It's something about, I grew up here. My history is here. The people here, the resiliency of the people, the history of the city in itself inspires me, and it's amazing. We've been through so much, and we've overcome it. And especially right now, where we are in the city of Detroit, it's almost like a blank canvas, and we're able to draw our own painting of how we want the future of the city to look. And to be involved in that means a lot to me, and so I could never leave.
What would you like to see happen in Detroit City, in the neighborhoods, and in the business district, financial district? What would you like to see happen?
I would like to just see jobs. I would like to see jobs being created. I would like to see, of course, more safety, more development, not just in commercial corridors downtown, but commercial corridors within our neighborhoods, and revitalization that is equally distributed, not just in certain areas, but in all areas, so that all Detroiters can benefit from it.
What are you going to do next? People are wondering whether you're going to run for Congress, whether you're going to be the next mayor of the city, and that would make you one of the youngest, by the way. But where are you going with this politics stuff?
You know what? As I mentioned earlier, I really just want to be led into whatever I do, and so I still have growth that I know that is within me that I need to develop, and so at this point, I just am comfortable where I am. I love what I do. I will say that. I love what I do, but I have not pinpointed any particular position and say that's my next step at this point. If doors open, I'm willing to explore, but at this point, again, I am comfortable in being Detroit City Council member and just trying to be the best council member that I can be.
Now, let me give you the world's definition of success. Money, good job, excellent family, nice home, perfect car. What's your definition?
I was just going to say, let's talk about what success isn't. It is not any of
not
those
any
things.
of those things.
It is nothing that deals with your educational status, your social status, cars, money, or any of that. I think it's really about being able to complete and fulfill what you have been placed here to do, and making sure that you complete that before you leave this earth. To me, that is what success is. If you're able to answer, recognize your calling, and actually fulfill it and complete it before you leave this earth.
You're letting go of a pretty big piece of your childhood. How did you adjust to that?
Well, let me just be clear first. Like you said, my life is not just this crystal ball, crystal clear thing.
No,
I definitely have been through some things and have done things that I regret in my life. Well, I shouldn't say regret, but things that I've been through. I haven't just always been, this person that you see sitting here today.
No.
Especially through high school and college. I mean, there has been experiences that I've been through that, again, have taught me a lot. And so it took me a lot to be where I am here today. I would just say that I've been through a lot of challenges, some of which have, the public knows about, but they have shaped me into who I am.
I don't want to portray you as being that perfect person, because none of us started off that way, and none of us just, bam, I'm called to the ministry, I am perfect.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. We all have those things that we have to go through. How can you encourage young people to keep going?
Well, for me, my relationship with God has really kept me. And so I would just encourage any young person that, we all make mistakes. We all fall short of the glory of God, to be honest. And in fact, we need to stop condemning one another and pointing our finger and get off the high horse, is what I say, because all of us fall short. And so I would just encourage them, whoever you are, whatever you've been through, you can still seek the face of God. And I would just encourage them to do that. In fact, that's the time you need to do it, is when you feel as if you are not worthy enough. That's when God really wants you. Well, I worked at the Wayne County Jail for 2 years, and I was around men and women who made bad choices. And so I think it's just important that you understand that it was a bad mistake that you made, and that you can move on from that mistake. But we have to make sure that we're providing resources and the help that these people need. There's a lot of mentally ill people within jail facilities, and they're lacking. They're lacking love. They're lacking hope. They're lacking resources. And so I think we as a city, as leaders, have to wrap ourselves around with them with the help that they need to make sure that they never make that decision again. Most of these people have family issues. They don't have a strong support system. And so that's where the community, we as community, has to step in and make sure that they have what they need to never go down that path again. And so I would just encourage them to get in the Word, begin to get in the church and develop a relationship. That's the main thing, because you can be in church for years, and I was one of them, and never had a true relationship with God, and that's what will keep you and strengthen you.
I don't know if you're aware of how much you involve your faith in your position, and it becomes a passion for you to do something in the city. And for that, the city owes you a very big thank you. Now, let me ask you this. Deep down inside, where no one else knows about, where no one else has experienced you, who are you?
That is a question that is extremely hard. And I think that over the last few years, I've tried to answer that question, and I think I've done a good job thus far, but I'm still learning who Mary is. But I think in order to answer that, you have to take away everything from this world, titles, positions, last name, and really look inside to who you are. And I think when I begin to do that, the first thing that comes to me is the spiritual side of me and who I am as a woman of God. And so I would say first and foremost, I'm a woman of God who is trying to become what God has called me to do. And then besides that, I'm a kind-hearted, generous, sweet person. I love seeing people smile. I love giving back to people. I love just having a good time in general. I think I'm a hard worker and a great person, I hope.
Do you think you're naive?
To what? Naive in general?
In general.
No, I don't.
Okay. Were you naive as to how much you would accomplish in city council?
No, I don't think that I was naive to that. I think the more appropriate word would be I'm very humble, and I don't look to what I do, my position. I don't let that define me. I'm very, very, very humble. In fact, people meet me all the time and say, "Are you a councilwoman? You're down to earth. I would have never thought you were a councilwoman." And I always have been a humble person. I would never let a position, a title, take away from just who I am as a person. And I'm just Mary.
I think that says it all.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The objective of power is to stay in power. So those who receive power, as you have in city council, will do anything necessary, so to speak, to keep that power. Does that apply to you?
No. And I've heard that before. But to me, my power is not predicated on a position. I have power just in who I am as a woman of God and as a woman and an individual, understanding that I have something unique to bring to this world. And so, no, I don't think that I'm the type of person that's, power hungry or going to be chasing after power for the rest of my life. So I would just say no to that question.
All right, then. Mary, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me today and for answering a few questions that I hope weren't too difficult for you and that you enjoyed. We look forward to seeing how you fulfill that Hour magazine title. 3 in the state that we're supposed to watch. So I'm expecting great things from you. I know your constituents are expecting great things from you, and certainly the city of Detroit needs those great things for you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
So thanks.
Thank you.